It's been a minute. I know. I got busy with some adulting things. It's crazy. The important thing is I finally found you. And here you are. You know, the history books and the school books and the like tell us that around about 1867, Lincoln Secretary of State William Seward made what they call Seward's Folly. And that folly was Alaska. 7.2 million for this frozen block of nothingness, got some Inuits hanging out in it. What are you doing? This is ridiculous. But, as most things in history books do, all's well that ends well. It's a fairy tale ending because it turns out Alaska is just chock full of mineral resources and all kinds of great things. And heck, we've developed it. We pulled all this oil out of it. And turns out Seward was a pretty sharp guy. And the trouble with that is it's only partially correct. Most of this is a lie. Now I'm going to explain to you why that is. The Russians, who previously owned Alaska, which I find really funny how certain people just happen to own like gazillions of acres, well, we own it. There's a story about that. Seems like a Native American Indian sold the all of New York or Brooklyn or something for $1. He took the dollar. He didn't own it. Can't own land. They're just stewards. Anywho, supposedly in the land of make-believe, the Ruskies owned Russia. Or owned, well, that too. But they owned Alaska. But they were looking to sell in, 1857, 1859? They needed money, cash money, because they're fighting this war in Croatia. Or they just had been, and they'd need money. War costs a lot of money. And the U.S. wasn't really interested. Maybe $3 million. I don't know. We don't even really want it. It's just, this is 1859. Well, it turns out just a couple years later, about 1861, the United States finds itself in a civil war. We're going to fight ourselves, because that seems reasonable. No, not about slavery, about states' rights, really about money. Whole other thing, that's a separate video. Anywho, so we're fighting this war, which also costs a lot of money, and we're going to get back to that in a second. 1865-ish, Civil War is over. Well, we're just going to lay that to bed. Terrible time in United States history, as they all are, because it's the United States. I'm not talking about America. Stay the course here. Anywho, the subject of Alaska comes up again, and hey, we're in. And not only are we in, we're in for, what, $7.3 million? That's a chunk of change. That's a lot of money now. Back then, 1867, that's a heck ton of money. Why do we spend such money? Who's this William Seward, Secretary of State? What an idiot. What are you parting with all this cash for? We ain't got the cash. We just went through Civil War, man. But the truth of the matter is, during that Civil War, England and the likes were bringing supplies, military, food, industrial, whatever. They were bringing supplies for the war effort, for the South, for the Confederate States of America, to use and subsist on in their battle with the United States. And old Abe Lincoln didn't much dig on that. But he couldn't commit the naval forces. We're already in war with the South. Our boats are a little tied up at the moment. So he gets on the horn. I don't know what they had in 1863-ish. But he calls up Russia and says, hey, I need a favor right quick. There's bad things, bad juju going on here. They're splitting the country. The money powers, not slavery, the money powers are splitting up the country, or trying to. They've effectively done it. They've seceded. They've got their own little country now called the Confederate States. I got a problem on my hands is what I got. And I need a naval force. At least to show a force. You may not even have to fight. And then supposedly Catherine the Great, somehow Tsar Alexander, some Russian leadership, whatever. Like, sure, we can help you out. Things aren't free, but we can help you out. We'll send some ships over there. They landed in the New York harbor. It was a big heyday for the local press. It was all over national media. Russians in America, they're playing Yankee Doodle Dandy and welcoming parades and all this. Russian sailors got a little taste of the local cuisine, you know. What do you do in New York in 1863? Stuff. Anyway, and then they send the naval boats on down, effectively forming a blockade against England and those that would support this division. Divide and conquer, right? They didn't have to fight. It was just this show of force. Boys just ain't gonna cut it anymore, and they cut off the supply lines coming from overseas. A major turning point in the Civil War. The war's over. Ruskies, they go back home. Come to find out there's a cost associated with paying sailors and feeding them and, you know, all the costs that, you know, we're lending you our military for a minute. Many months, I think it was. 11 months, something like that, 9 to 11 months. It's no exact number. Whatever the case, the Russians have a bill and they present it. Back then, it wasn't so easy to just kick the Constitution to the curb, and there was no constitutional provision to pay a foreign military to help us out or to have any dealings with a foreign military. You couldn't just, you know, write a check or send some loads of cash or whatever. And we got another little problem on our hands. How are we going to pay the Russian government for the use of their military? I know they didn't do nothing, but hey, they hung out and they stopped the shipment of supplies. It was a major point in the Civil War. Nobody pays that any mind. Well, Abe Lincoln, who is not the honest Abe that history portrays, because he did a lot of sketchy stuff, especially during the Civil War, but he's caught between a rock and a hard place. He's trying to save the country, in essence, back when it's kind of worth saving. I mean, he's arresting members of the media that went against him. He's doing all kinds of sketchy crap kind of behind the scenes, but you really had to work to hide it back then. And if somebody's highlighting it, well, you just arrest them. That's the easiest way, or you delete them. Either way, again, that's a whole separate subject. But the point being, how's he going to get this money to the Russians? I mean, he's going to pay it. It's not like we're just going to heck with the Russians. You know, yeah, they helped us out. But we're on good terms with Russia at this point. We don't want to burn that bridge. And they helped us out. How are you going to get this money to them? You still got that Alaskan area? I don't remember what it was called. At the time, it wasn't Alaska yet, but yeah, we still got it. You still want to get rid of it? Yeah. Well, instead of $3 million, I think you're asking $5 million. How about $7.3 million? Isn't that your invoice for your military? Yeah, roundabouts. Deal. And also, interestingly enough, to finance the Civil War, Abraham Lincoln issued the greenback. This was money printed by the United States Treasury. It wasn't backed by debt. We don't owe any international bankers for this. We don't owe any private lenders. We don't owe anybody. Just printed it out of nothing. But the bankers were irate. How dare you? You're going to print your own money? I mean, that's what we do. But hey, look at all the interest. That's the whole point in wars, practically, is to get make money. And you're screwing us out of that? Oh, this ain't going to fly, Abe. Next thing you know, Abe goes, sees a play, and that didn't work out so well for him. About 100 years later, I think almost to the day, a fella named Johnny Kennedy had the same idea. He printed up some United States notes. No interest is due, it's not payable. The parallels, by the way, between Lincoln and Kennedy are just phenomenal if you read into it, but this ain't gonna fly. Next thing you know, his head was turned into a canoe. Same thing with Abe Lincoln. But by 1867, that bill was still due. The United States paid it, and in exchange, we got the chunk of land that became Alaska. It just so happened to be chock full of all these minerals, as most of that area of Russia is. I mean, they got, what's it called? They got Siberia up there, chock full of timber and oil and precious metals. I mean, you name it. It's a wonderland of natural resources. Alaska's no different. I mean, you just get the little Bering Strait. What is that, 50 miles or something like that between the two? Of course, it's going to be loaded down with stuff. It worked out great for us. The heck of it is the media just this is retarded. This is stupid. What are you doing? So why is this important? Who freaking cares about Alaska? Who cares about the Russians? That's a long time ago. I guess kind of in a way, the point being is that the government has always hidden things and lied to the American people. It's how you do sketchy crap. Just come out and tell the truth. I'm sure if they'd have brought it up and said, look, we got to pay for this, it'd have probably been voted on and it'd probably passed. But you never know with the sketchy fools in Congress and Senate, even back then. This business, the trust in the institutions are lost. Usually some guy with jowls. I trust in the institutions. There should have never been any trust in the institutions of government. They have always lied to the people. They've always done what's in their best interest. And in this case, it was an honest and fair transaction. We needed help. We got the help. You got to pay for the help. And it worked out for us. Alaska's paid dividends for, maybe not so much for those Inuits and the people that live there, but hey, collateral damage, you know how it is. A lot of interesting stuff happened during the Civil War. Interesting stuff happened all the time in all of history. Crazy things, man. Hey, if you like the video, well, I guess great. You don't have to do anything. I'm not going to put any obligations on you. Feel free to comment with your jazz hands if you want to. I appreciate you watching. I appreciate your time. And until next time, never know, with a guy like me, I'll see you next time.